It all began in a chamber. An infinite, cold, unfeeling chamber. The horrors one witnesses, the pain they endure for someone else. I still don't know if it was worth all of the scars, because no matter what, it always begins where it begins. I've come to terms with the fact I'll never change the past. So long as these ghosts continue to hunt us all, we'll never know freedom from it. My mistakes, my pain, my chamber. I walk down this hall. The lights in the sky illuminate every step I take in gold. Yet that gold, beautiful as it may be, will remain corroded by the nightmare that preceded it. As always, my mind goes back to that day. The day of the outbreak. I still remember as if it were yesterday. June 12th, 2019. WavE 80. All around me was a room I'd long grown familiar with. Posters were strewn about from bands, cartoons, comics, and some modern art in there. A desk where my brother and I always wrestled for the laptop. A light that barely illuminated the whole room, even with help from the window. There I sat in bed, hardly wearing anything other than a loose shirt and my briefs. It was a morning like any other, with me waiting my turn in the shower. Took the time to read this book my little brother gave me. It was just a bunch of puzzles for kids, but one always stuck out in my head. You're on a space shuttle. Due to a dire error in preparation, you and your fellow astronaut are on your last supply of oxygen. It isn't enough for both of you to share anymore. Come a few hours, or even minutes, you will both die if nothing is done. Fortunately, there is a solution to such a crisis. Can you figure it out? Sacrifice. One of them has to give up their oxygen to save the other one. Makes sense to me, at least. My little brother, Ruth, came in unannounced. His stature slightly taller than Odess. A small drake, still in middle school at the time. Spiked brown hair, green eyes, and sand-colored horns to find his head. With a simple white shirt and shorts on him. Aside from the Figment Cast logo on the shirt, wasn't much to look at. Aight, Ollie. Shower's ready. Ah, thanks, Squirt. Hey! Don't call me that! I'm not a pig squeak anymore. Sure you're not. I stood up and ruffled up the little guy's hair. I could sense him pouting back at me, and couldn't help but chuckle at the thought. Dad's still not home, by the way. Christ. I know they're wearing him out over there, but what the hell? Got in the shower pretty quick. It was always nice me time in this crowded place. Look, I'm sure it's fine, Oliver. You know what it's like working overtime at the bar. This is just that, but worse. Try and focus on today, alright? Right. Toru. Today's the day I finally tell him how I feel. I doubt it'll be easy. Like at all. But he's gotta feel the same, right? He gave me that camera after I broke the last one. It's gotta be a sign. Sure, Kitano was the reason I tripped, but I didn't want to believe that. I just couldn't fathom how someone wouldn't like me if they let me hang out with them. These thoughts persisted in my head as I walked out of the shower. Study hall should be a good time. After school's out of the question. Adonosis? ¿Estás segura que no está checando a otras chicas? Tio Pedro. At the sound of my uncle, I shuffled into the living, dining room hybrid. Where I entered was a small area with a table and 4 seats. When I looked right was a larger area with a couch, a TV, and at the end was the window and AC. Pedro was on the couch with our pet monkey Gizmo on his lap, with Ruth and my mom, Daisy, having breakfast.
Dudo, you know Jay can't start a conversation to save his life, let alone pick up girls.
It's just suspicious. That's all I'm saying. Maybe his boss is up to something.
That's what I'm thinking. What Caramonda gives a guy overtime for 2 whole months in a row? No family left behind, my ass.
That's one for the swear jar. While I went and got changed, I could see Ruth giving Mom his impression of a troll face. That kid was gonna be the death of us. Dress to Impress was the name of the game. Got my trusty newsboy cap, a slick cargo jacket, and carried that Polaroid camera with me. Once I went back to eat, I took a better look at Pedro and saw a photo up. Couldn't resist.
Oh, hey, tío, ¿puede quedarse por un minuto? Pues claro, chiquilo!
A warm, homey picture of a guy holding up a cold one to life. I still hold that picture close to me. It's the last normal one I'd take for years. Mom was checking out the news on the tablet. I snuck a peek at some headlines. Shit about embezzlers, serial killers, CP getting leaked on a form. Horrible fucked up shit as usual in this country. Didn't blame her for that tired, disgusted look on her face. She then looked up at me.
By the way, Ollie, think you could stop by Hermes and drop your dad's lunch?
What? Why?
Normally I would, but traffic's looking pretty bad today. Can't afford to miss out on bills.
Hold on. What about bills?
For some reason, Hermes Medical decided to stop giving employee families free insurance. So now I gotta make sure that I don't miss a single penny.
Ruth turned to her with his eyes bugging out. Do we still have dental?
Not even dental.
Realizing I didn't have a say in the matter, I relented. Couldn't say no to helping my family. Could I? What kind of monster would do that? Okay.
Ha! She'll be owing you 20 after this. Bro!
Later, while Mom, Ruth, and I were heading down to the garage, Pedro saw us off. Dude was so perky. I don't think he ever noticed his pecs bouncing all over the place. Or maybe he did, but was too innocent to connect the dots. Ironic given his job, but whatever. While putting my camera away in my backpack, I could hear them exchange a few words.
Da luego! I'll try keeping this place in one piece! Ha ha! You'd better, pendejo.
Once out on the curb, Ruth and I took our usual route to school, since they weren't too far apart. Just then though, Mom put her hand on my shoulder. Her face, I'll never forget how warm she was. Considering she always took more of a patriarch role, while Dad was way more motherly. That kind of look always caught me off guard.
Hey, look. We'll be fine, alright? Don't go on hurting yourself for us, please.
Right. I'll try.
That's my boy. Just take care of yourself. That's all you need to make us happy.
Thanks. With those parting words, while Mom spun the keys around her finger, she walked to the garage while waving back at us.
Later, you two. Bye, Mama!
Just then, I felt a sharp snap around my forehead. It instantly tilted its way up to the sky. There, I saw it. Pixels. These green, floating pixels in the distance, behind some local businesses. They flew up into the sky in a pillar-like shape, letting out this weird humming noise. It almost felt like the sound of data. Not like audio data, but what an actual digital signal would sound like. It was mesmerizing. I don't know how long I stared up at the sky, but then Ruth's voice snapped me out of it, like being thrown out of a hypnotic state.
Hey, Ollie, you alright? Or... yeah. Sorry, Squirt. Thought I saw something. Let's get going.
Before we went back on our way, I took one more look up, and they were gone. Those pixels were nowhere to be seen. Had I just imagined it? Still don't know what the hell that was. We kept going down the sidewalk, as I tried to forget that for now.
You know, you've been acting weird lately. Wait, I have? Spacing out, talking to yourself. There's that one night you woke up screaming for someone called Yoko. Maybe I'm just stressed out.
I adjusted my hat when we hit a stoplight. Trying to keep my cool after that felt a bit embarrassing.
Just take a break from all those clubs, Ollie. I swear, it's driving you crazy. Wait, what? I can't do that. What'd Mom and Dad think? They'd be glad you're not driving yourself nuts with after-school clubs. Whatever. We're here.
I stopped myself as we reached our first stop for the day. It was also our last stop that day. Hermes Medical. They were a big deal back in the day. One of the few pharmaceutical companies boasting affordable healthcare plans. On top of that, prosthetics and vaccines were actually a major focus on their marketing. A lot of advanced shit for the time too. I remember reading about them making headway with the cancer vaccine. Since then though, they'd gone quiet. Of course, it led to conspiracy theories, but I didn't really bother looking into it. Especially once people made their usual "vaccines are the devil's jizz" posts. Once at the entrance, I slid my guest ID. Something employee families got in case of stuff like this.
Why do we need these again? Remember that story about an anti-vaxxer trying to blow up an Icarus Pharma building from the inside? Yeah? Safety first.
Access granted. Welcome Oliver Brown. and roof round. Enjoy your visit.
That hallway was not what you expect for a lab meant for making medicine. It was dark, with a checkerboard pattern on the floor. A long, droning hum filled the air. The only sign that we were in the right place was the logo printed on the wall. Hermes Medical, with the tagline, "No family left behind." Adjusting my backpack on my shoulders, I got walking.
Let's try and make this quick.
That's when it happened. Something had gone up my nose. It was like air made of razor blades invading my lungs. I backed over to the wall, barely able to breathe what felt like oxygen in hell. And the smell, it was almost like blood. Ruth had the gall to look at me like I was going mad again.
Hey, Ollie, what's wrong? What the fuck is with the air around here? It feels like my head's full of needles! Oh, right. It's some kind of air conditioning they have on. Took me a day to get used to. Bring your to work date. Right? Yeah.
Like an idiot, I assumed it was that simple. Grabbed onto the railing and carried on. I tried to get used to the air, even if it made my nose crave death every second. Had to be careful not to stumble over too. A lesser man would have somehow found a way to break his arm with the handrail.
It's okay, Ollie. You got this. It's just some weird ventilation. Just gotta drop up Dad's lunch, make like a banana, and get the fuck out of here.
Unfortunately, nothing is ever that simple. As the door on the other end slid open, we were greeted by an unorthodox lobby. No receptionist, just some stools by the entrance, followed by a circular enclosure with doors facing us. Ruth walked over to a little guy sitting nearby, a sharp kid, about Ruth's age, with a pompadour on his head and an uncomfortable-looking school uniform. As they chatted, I could overhear two other people by the doors.
Look, we didn't start it. I'm pretty sure the higher-ups will let us off the hook. Christ. I hope you're right.
One of them, a jackal with blonde hair, gold makeup, a very business casual sort of fit, and a fancy pair of specs. Must have been of Monitor descendant, as his lower body didn't seem to have any fur on it, aside from the hands anyway. He turned to me.
Oh, good. More. Hey, is something wrong?
The other, an older, buffer shark, also with a pompadour. He gave me a smile so forced, I swear his face was about to break off. He rushed over to me and started aggressively shaking my hand. At first, I was a bit flustered. A closer look showed he had an open suit jacket with his chest hair popping out. No shirt underneath either. I still have a thing for older guys with that look. Then the most putrid goddamn scent entered my nostrils, killing any interest I might have had.
Wade Ryan's the name. I'm the head supervisor of this here facility.
Is that fucking imperative oil? Wade then turned to my brother.
And hey, nice seeing you again, Ruth. This your big bro? Yeah, Wade.
The kid gave Wade the mother of all death glares. I could just feel the hatred in the kid's eyes.
Right. I'm Oliver Brown. My dad works here. Is it alright if we drop off his lunch real quick? Oh, well, about that. There's been this blackout going on where certain doors ain't working. Right.
We haven't had word from any technicians yet, so try coming back later.
Ah, okay. Stay here for a sec, Ruth. Gonna tell Mom what's... The hell?
I checked my phone, only to see that the signal was down.
Guess I'll have to go outside.
And when I slid the card on the exit, all I got was an error buzzer.
What's going on? It worked before. Ah, no worries, buckaroo.
Wade strolled over to my side, getting by the door as he pulled out his ID.
These things happen all the time. Let me just get out my admin ID and...
Once he slid his card, it also got a buzzer. We just stood there in disbelief.
Must be another error. Till those technicians can figure out what's up. Looks like we're all stuck in here.
My eyes widened. I genuinely could not believe our rotten luck at that moment.
Wait! Stuck? In a way that borders on... Ruth, please not now.
If I may, I'd like to go.
Wade stomped on over the jackal, arms sternly on his hips.
Where do you think you're going? I would like to check how maintenance is going, seeing if we could help speed things up.
And what makes you think you can handle it?
I mean, it's not exactly my first time with that kind of equipment. At the very least, it beats standing here and doing nothing.
Then the jackal stared daggers at Wade, really looking like they were hiding something.
Right, Mr. Ryan?
That was apparently all Wade needed to start shuffling back. He looked back at the kids, then to me.
Right. In that case, I'll watch over the kids here.
Think I could come? Might as well stop by my dad's office if we can.
The jackal stopped in his tracks to turn back to me, a bit surprised at my request.
Sure thing. Just be sure to stick to me, alright?
Okay. Bit weird, but I'll roll with it.
The name's Tom, by the way. Tom Catton.
With our minds made up, Wade went to one of the doors and tugged on it. Took about a minute of moving it by only a centimeter, but then he managed to slide the rest open. That said, he was stuck holding it in place until we went through.
Good luck out there, boys!
Thanks. Hey Ruth, you stay put, alright? Aye aye!
He gave me an okay sign and hopped back to sit with a little shark.
Okay, let's go.
The door fucking slammed shut once Tom and I went through. We entered this corridor. One side had doors and windows leading to labs, while the other side seemed to be a big screen. My eyes weren't quite adjusted yet, so it just looked pure white for the time being. At first, I was able to collect myself until I felt my nose bleeding. As the air in this place grew even more pungent, I went lightheaded, as my brain couldn't register my respiratory system being violated. Wound up knocking me back against the door.
Fuck. It's so much worse.
Hey! What's going on?
Christ. It's like someone's blowing sulfur into my nose with a leaf blower and sucking the oxygen out.
Easy there. Oliver, was it? Just try and calm down. I know, the ventilation here takes some getting used to. Just breathe it in. See? In. Out.
In. Out.
There. Just do it a few more times.
Felt like hours had passed before I could even start breathing even a bit normally again. I couldn't wrap my head around what kind of science experiment got wrong. They were testing with that ventilation.
Better?
Still smells like shit. But a bit, yeah.
Don't worry. We'll get out of here in no time, and you won't have to deal with it anymore.
I really hope you're right. Hold on. Let me check something.
Worried you crushed something?
Yeah. My camera! I can't break it. It's a gift. Wait.
Hmm?
What?
I turned to that screen, and Tom followed suit, his expression shifting back to one of panic. It wasn't a screen. It couldn't be. That had to have been a window. But as for what was outside it, it was beautiful, but also unnerving in how impossible it was. This large oasis that seemed to stretch for miles and miles. Rivers flowing everywhere, hills and mountains with all kinds of buildings far off. Nearby was this cube with some tech labels on it. It all looked like something out of a sandbox game, but this was supposed to be a single building.
What's going on out the window?
Oh, that. No worries, that's just a hologram.
I thought the power was out though.
Well, again, not for the entire facility, hence why this is all weird.
Okay, but why a hologram?
You know, a nice aesthetic to help calm down employees. Stuff like that.
I shrugged, dismissing it as HM being bad with money. It matched what Mom was talking about.
And here I thought Tio Pedro made bad investments. Seriously, why would we ever need a rocket launcher?
We got moving again, down this hall of windows. On one end was the surreal paradise. On the other were labs nestled in reality. Lights were off, so I guess they weren't in use. Tom looked at me, holding up his fingers.
Now then, remember the plan. First, we hit the generator room, restore power however we can, then head back.
Then we could see my dad, right?
Yeah. This should hopefully be quick.
As he looked away, I felt a vibration in my pocket. My phone. Did the signal come back? Well, no. When I looked, the screen was bugging out like crazy. It was making this loud, static noise. The display glitched like I'd been dropping its screen first on loop. The more I moved forward, the louder the noise got. Until... I was suddenly stunned. I couldn't move. For some reason, those sounds stuck out in the silence of this hallway, and I could tell that it came from one of those windows. Slowly and surely, I turned my head, heart racing more and more. That was when I laid my eyes on it. An image that will forever be engraved into my skull. A tall figure, vaguely shaped like an evil like us. But it looked like a bald ape, with a flat face. Its skin was stretched all across its body, veins visible, like this creature was turned inside out. Exposed musculature could be seen randomly across its body, profusely leaking blood. Its face, it only had one eye, one large, protruding eyeball, scars all around it, deprived of any kind of moisture. The other socket was empty, with what looked like the dangling tissue once connecting an eye to the brain, and its mouth open with these thin, square teeth permanently clenched. Then there was one way it moved. I still don't know how that was possible, but it was frantic. Its entire body was still, except for the arm and head. But every time they moved, they jittered all over the place. Not like shaking. It was as if reality's animation cells were being placed at random, with no concern for fluid or natural movement. The shock, the dread of looking at this thing, it made me fall back on my ass.
Oliver, I'm sorry. I thought we could avoid this. But this is what Hermes has been hiding.
What? What the hell is that thing?
We call them gorgons. Creatures born from a virus. A virus that, once it infects you, mutates you into a mindless beast.
This isn't real, is it? It can't be. How can you be so calm about this?
Tom turned to kneel in front of me. Our faces coming closer. Even though I was still panicking, focusing on that face of his managed to let me compose myself a bit. Enough that I was able to just listen.
Oliver.
Yeah?
That camera. It's analog, right? A Polaroid. I know this may seem like an impossible request, but as we go through here, do you think you could take photos of this place? No. We need the world to know what happened here.
But why? How?
Gorgons interrupt digital signals, but not analog. And if we want to get out of here, we still need to make this trip. Please, Oliver. We can stop this from ever happening again. Like I said, if you stick by me, I promise you'll be safe.
Even from that thing?
I then looked back at the Gorgon. That feeling of dread returning at the mere sight of it.
Especially from the Gorgons. Do you trust me?
Okay, Tom. I trust you.
Don't worry. I know this place. Stay with me and we'll be out of here in no time.
Shutting my eyes, I clutched Tom's hand, trying to just clear my mind and focus. It took some time, but I was able to pull myself together and get up. Although, all the while, that thing just kept knocking. I was still shaken. I could still feel my heart racing from every tap on the glass, as if at any moment, the thing would just shatter it and lunge at us. As I turned to look at it one more time, readying my camera, I couldn't help but think, Dad was working here, right?
Thank you for listening to the first episode of ZodiA WavE. Oliver Brown was played by Nikko Abanilla. This episode was written, directed, edited, and scored by Chris Saavedra. Assuming you liked what you heard, please consider commenting or voting for any input and feedback. You can also follow SLZ Ray on Twitter, ZodiA WavE on Newgrounds, or Studio Laser Ray on Bandcamp for updates on future episodes. All links are in the description. Finally, you can join us on Patreon for early episode releases, early looks at cover art, and other exclusive Studio Laser Ray related rewards. We will see you again soon for the next episode, this time seeing what became of those left behind. So we say, enjoy the show.